this is Trisha and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I put together this beautiful swag using all my leftover flowers and some greenery. So let me tell you what the supplies are and let's get to crafting. Alright, so we're going to start off with some leftover flowers. Now you don't have to have them in little bundles like I do where I have 3 here, 2 here, and 4. You could have one of each of any flower that you may have left over. So this is what I'm going to be using. Now, if you don't have any leftover flowers, by all means, use a bush of some flowers, and maybe you want to look for something that has a variation of flowers within the same bush. And here I have some leftover greenery that I'm reusing from some other projects. Some are leftover pieces that were on a bush that I cut up, and I just have all the pieces here. Some from some stems where I didn't need as much greenery. But anyway, all of these greens sort of coordinate with each other, so something that you want to look at. Now, if you don't have different greeneries, by all means, again, you can just use a bush of greenery. I'm going to go ahead and add a bow to my swag, so I'm going to be choosing a couple of ribbons that I feel coordinate and will look nice with my flowers. So if you want to use that, grab yourself 1 or 2, maybe even 3 ribbons that you want to coordinate. I'm also going to be using some floral wire. This is a 22 gauge floral wire. You're going to need plenty of it. If you don't have this, you could also use some chenille stems. I also have here an 18 gauge stem of floral wire. This is a little bit stiffer wire. You don't need this, but I'm going to use this as my base. Now, you could also use like a wire hanger, for example. Just cut a piece about the length that you want your swag to be. Optional is some floral tape so that you can hide some of the wiring that you've done. And for my tools, I'll be using wire cutters and scissors. If I use anything else, of course, I will let you know. Alright, to get started, I'm going to take my flowers and I'm just going to lay them out in a sort of a pattern. I'm going to make like a V right here, a little triangle. I may push this, further down or further up, but for now I'm just laying them down. So I'm going to start off with like a bud and some smaller flowers here, and then work my way up to a bigger flower, just to kind of help me decide where I want to put these along in my swag. Now I have my piece of wire here, and if you want to go ahead and cut a piece of wire, or just use anything as your guide on the length that you want your swag to be. So I'm going to put this down just to kind of help me decide where I want things. Now this swag is going to go a little bit beyond this, so I'm just going to hold this right about here. And you can use a wire hanger, like I said, if you want to use that. So I'm just taking the rest of my flowers and I'm placing them in areas where I think I want them. This could change, so just do that. I'm trying to spread out the colors as much as I can. So I'm taking all the bigger flowers, and I'm going to take this red, and I think I want to put it right here. Kind of want that one to peek out a little bit further out. And as you see, I'm adjusting this one right here. Now, to help you look at them better, always fold them upward so you can see your flowers a little bit better that way. All right, so maybe another one right about here. Okay, that's looking good. And then of course I've got more of these little fillers, but I'll wait and put those in there. So this is sort of my pattern that I want to create right now. So I'm going to start off with the ones that are going to be hanging off at the bottom, which are this little tulip and this rose right here. And I'm going to take some of my floral wire and some of my tape to get this started. All right, so if you want to push your arrangement that you've created, your pattern, off to the side, and then just grab your little bits as we go along, adding them. That would be a best idea. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this little pattern that I've created. Now this pattern could change, and of course for you it could change as well, because you might be seeing things a certain way, but then when you move it around, you decide that you want things in a different spot. So let's go ahead and move this out of the way. Alright, so I'm going to pick the 2 flowers that I had at the end. That's going to be hanging the lowest off my swag. So I'm going to remove this leaf because I don't really like it, to be honest with you. Anything like this that comes off of the stem, you might want to put a little bit of hot glue so that it doesn't fall off, because sometimes when it gets pulled off, this becomes loose. So just hot glue it in there. Alright, so I'm just going to take pieces of wire. So just start grabbing. And by the way, we're having thunderstorms, so you may hear thunder in the background. and hopefully I don't lose electricity. So I'm just going to cut some pieces of wire, as you see here, and I'm going to have them ready, and I'll cut them as I need. And these are going to hang beyond because I kind of want my length to be about this long, like this wire. All right, so now I'm going to grab these two, and I want this one to come out of it a little bit like that, okay? So now that I've got them like that, I can just take some wire and wire the stems together. Just twist it around. Now you don't want that to show. Take some floral tape and start wrapping. The same idea to create this swag will be the same idea to create a floral bouquet for a wedding, for example. Okay, so I like the placement right here so far. So I'm going to put those aside. And now this next one was going to be just a little bit lower, like about right here. And then there was going to be a sunflower right about here. So I want the sunflower to be a little bit higher than this ranunculus here. They're about the same, but just a tiny bit so that they're not so equal or level. Again, I'm going to wrap these up with wire. Now I'm not going to attach these to this yet. Right now I'm just creating little bundles, okay? So again, some tape. And with floral tape, you have to remember that you have to pull on it slightly. That releases the adhesive in it. And then as you're wrapping it around, press it down on itself. So you want to make sure that you do overlap it. And that is now together, all right? But we didn't put them together way up here because we want to be able to move our stems as we need them. Because sometimes you discover that maybe you put them a little too close together, too tight, and then you can't adjust. So make sure that you grab them at a lower point. Okay, so that's our next little bundle right about here. See that? All right, so that's what I'm going to do with the rest of my flowers that I pushed over to the side over here. I'm kind of following the pattern that I have here and then laying them on here. Now I can see here that I had a ranunculus coming down right here. That's too close to that, so I'm going to move it over to the other side now. And I'm going to add a little tulip because I do want another little tulip to be right about right here. Wire them together, and I'm going to be doing that as I go along, okay? Alright, so here I've created some bundles, and I still have a couple of these larger flowers. Now, I want to put this one down here. This is going to be like my flower here, and then I'll have a bow here. But I do have this extra sunflower, and I decided that I think I want it right about right here. Actually, let's put it along with these here. And I'm just going to reach in here and tie it up to the geranium stem here with some wire and again some tape. Alright, so I've got all my flowers where I want them, and as you can see I have separate bundles that I've created. Some have 3 flowers in them, like this one also. And then I also have one that's loose all by itself. But that kind of gave me the idea of where I want all my little bundles to be. So now what I want to do is I want to start adding some greenery in there. So again, my little pattern might change, but for now I'll just keep it like that. So what I'm going to start doing is to start adding some greenery. Now out of this one, which is the one that's going to hang at the bottom, I wanted to have some greenery hanging out of it. So I'm going to use these long stems here, and what I'll do is I'll just cut them at some point there, right there. And then I'll do the same thing where I'll be wiring it down, and again I'll be taping it. Now add whatever amount of greenery you want to each of your little stems, and then we can put them all together. And that is where we're going to be using this longer piece of sturdier wire. Like I said, if you have a wire hanger, you can use that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding some greenery here and there onto my little bundles. Alright, so I wanted you to see what I have so far. These are not attached. These are all just little bundles, as I showed you before. And then I've decided where I want them. And been building them as I go along. You can see it's kind of long. So I've got my last two flowers that I want to put on here. I want them to be right about here. So now I'm going to wire them together, and I am going to also tape. And I'm going to add some greenery to my last little bundle. I also have, I'll put these here for now. I also have some sprigs here, some filler flowers that I can add here and there. And I already know that I want to add some of this pink, maybe this longer piece somewhere up here. Maybe this one right about here. And then I can add the other colors in different spots. So I'm just going to lay them out to just give myself an idea of where I would like the colors to kind of shoot out from. Okay, so I like that layout. So now I have to find out, well, what bundle do I have to stick these into? So I can already see right here that this one will go onto this. This one will go onto this one here. I'll stick this onto this little bundle once I have it ready with some greenery as well. This little yellow one can be attached to this bundle. This one can be attached to this bundle, and then I'll attach these two to that. Alright, so that gives me an idea. I'm trying not to lose my pattern because I really liked it, but if you lose it, just figure it out again. Sometimes you might have to move a flower, you know, from a bundle, pull it out and stick it somewhere else because maybe the pattern is not working, or maybe you just lost your pattern. But this is what you do. Just try to keep it all in line together. So let's get this one on here. And I'm gonna lay it underneath so it sticks out from behind it rather than, you know, being on top of everything. So that's all I'm gonna do, just pull it from underneath and then just kind of make sure that most of the little flower sprig here is showing. So I found a good spot where it should lay here. Again, same thing that I've been doing, wiring and then adding floral tape. All right, so here are my bundles in a swag form, and I've tried to keep them in the pattern that I had started from the beginning, and I really like the placement so far. So now that I've made each of my bundles and they all have the greenery and the little filler flowers in them, this is what they look like. So if you wanted to create something small, this is all you have to do, just like that. And what I showed you is to make a whole bunch of them, so now we can put them together in a bigger swag. So I'm going to take my long piece of wire, which I said was optional. You could just start taping these bundles to each other, but it's always nice to have a nice piece of wire that you can use as your guide. Like I said, a piece of wire hanger. All right, so I'm going to take this very last one here, the one that's going to hang at the very bottom, and I'm going to put it on my wire just a little bit like that. So as you can see, this is really long, and it's okay if this is long over here because I could use this to fold it and make a hook or a little loop to hang it on the wall. But for now, let's start right here, and then we take small pieces of wire that I've already cut up, just like I've been doing every step of the way. I am going to twirl this bit a little bit on there, this one on here just a little bit, and then I'm going to wire it some more with this other wire. And again, I am going to tape it. So once I have this on here and it is stable, I'll grab the next bundle, place it where I want it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to curve it out like that, because I'm going to grab this piece and lay it on here, wire it down, tape it. I'll do the same thing with the other piece. It's opposite, going this way. I'm going to fan it out this way, and I'm going to work my way like that till I get to the very last one, which will go right in the middle. But let me go ahead and pull these off to the side like that so I don't lose my pattern. And let's tape this one up. Now, I did say the taping was optional, but it really helps to make things a little bit more secure. And plus it looks prettier, hiding all that wire. Okay, so that one's taped. This one will go right here, and I'm not going to worry about where the flowers are laying right now because I can always move them around. But for now, just want to get it on there, secure it. A little, not so close to it. I'm going to go down a little bit more. I can actually take this and just curve it around just a little bit. All right. Now you may need to get another piece of wire, which I feel I need to wire down some more. All right, now I can tape it. Trying to get those little ends of the wire, you know, folded into so I don't poke myself. I've already done that several times. All right, so you get the idea. So here's my arrangement. This was the next one that'll go right here. I'm just gonna bend it so I can place it, and this is at the same height as that one. So I'm gonna put it right there, wire it, tape it, and then I've got my next two pieces. I'm gonna put this one a little bit higher and then this one a little bit lower. Then my last pieces, and that's just how I'm going to work it, you guys. So that's super easy to do. All right, move this to the side so I don't lose my pattern. Okay, so I have taped the last piece onto my swag. So now what I want to do is I just want to go down the whole thing here and just look at the flowers and see their placement. Maybe I have to move some around. That's why when I told you at first not to put them too close together, the heads of the flowers, and to go down the stem a little bit before you tie them together, so that you'd have room to move them around. Make sure that greenery is covering bits here and there. Now, if you have some spots where, oh, okay, I see, you know, a little bit of an opening, then what you can do is you can take whatever little bits of greenery you might have left, and I did have some, and then just kind of hot glue them and cover up any little spots that are kind of bare. What you could also do is if you have a spot, let's say like this one here, for example, where I feel like, oh, maybe I could have used a little flower right there, and just, you can go ahead and just hot glue it in there as well. I'm just going to maneuver my flowers around so it doesn't feel like that. I think that settled it. There we go. I'll show you the whole thing from the air in just a moment, but I do want to make a bow. So first I'm going to tape this up. I'm going to create a bow so that we can put right on here. I'm going to use the remainder of my wire here. Now, if you don't have this, just cut another piece of wire or a chenille stem and create a little loop. And what I'm just going to do is just going to twist this like that. And now I have this little bit here to hang, but I want to make sure that I wire down a little bit more, tape it, and like I said, I'm going to add a bow. And then what I'll do one more time before I finalize this is fix my flowers. All right, to make my bow, I'm just going to cut a couple of pieces of wire, or you could use chenille stems for this. I want a very simple bow. I don't want too much, so I don't want it to overtake my whole arrangement, but I am going to cut a little bit of a length here of my tail so that I can sort of kind of weave it through my swag a little bit. So I'm going to get a long piece like that, and then I'm just going to make about 4 loops of this particular ribbon. Let's see. I think I'm only going to be able to get 2 because I do want this other long tail on the other side. Maybe I just want 1 long tail. Okay, I'll do 3 loops. Now, of course, you do however many you want because it all depends on how much ribbon you have. I'm using whatever I have left over. This actually happens to be a leftover ribbon from Christmas. So I'm just using this little bit. Trim this as well. Now this is a really nice simple bow. As you can see, it looks really pretty with this. I don't even have to put this one on there, but I'm going to go ahead and just make another little bow. Just some little short tails and a couple of little loops here. Let's see how much I can do before I run out. Actually, I'm going to run out of this pretty soon, so I'm just going to try and get as much as I can. Let me see. Yeah. Let me see and just try to get as much as I can out of this, because maybe a little bit that I have left over is really not going to be any good for anything else. So that's all that I have left. Yeah, just 1 more like that. Another piece of wire, or if you have a chenille stem. And then wire it together. I kind of lost it there. Alright, so now I'm just going to cut the ends the way that I like them with my little dovetails, or I used to call them little snake tongues, but alright, it's little dovetails. These scissors are not the best, so that's what I cut. Alright, so now I'm just going to take my bows and wire them onto this bit here that I have of stem. Actually, I'm going to open this one up. Let's see. Put it on this one. Wire them together. I'm just taking the 2 tails and twisting like that, and then on the other side as well. And then I can use that to tie, but I want this loop to go over down that way, so I'm just gonna wrap it around the back and twist. Let me turn this around. Just twist it. And I'm just going to trim this. And of course I want to bend those little raw edges so they don't scratch up my wall. And as you can see, I have my little loop here where I'm going to hang it from, and the bow does cover that. So I'm just going to turn it around and then just fix my ribbon so it kind of drapes through a little bit of my my arrangement here, my swag. Now I wanted the longer side on this side, but it doesn't really matter. Right here. Just like that, and it's wire so I can actually bend it. And then this one had a little bit of a long ribbon as well, and I'll just kind of drape it through here. All right, so now all you're going to do, like I said, is just fix up your little flowers, fix up your bow, and there we go. All right, everyone, so here is my completed swag. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. It's ready to be hung wherever I please. This will make a nice, beautiful gift for someone as well. You could choose to do the flowers in a theme for maybe the 4th of July coming up. But this is a good way to use up any leftover flowers that you might have and little bits of greenery and to create something beautiful for your home, or like I said, as a gift. I think I did a really great job, so I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up, and I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe by hitting that red button and leaving a kind comment down below. Please share on your social medias and follow me on Facebook, Trisha's Creations. And as always, enjoy.